Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. Now, we had Deku, and we also had Melissa and David. Now, Deku is still at the age of 11, and he also found out that Bakugo, he was using the abilities he gained from the Omnitrix to be a villain. He was impersonating the alien superheroes Izuku has in Japan, and that's a problem. Now, this became plumber business when they thought these were extraterrestrials. But whenever they found out they were just Bakugo Katsuki messing around with superpowers he gained from the Omnitrix, that became a problem. Now, Deku, he encountered Bakugo as a member of Xylene's species, and Bakugo, he was very mentally unhinged. You can tell that he wasn't in his right mind. Deku put his plumber badge on him in order to track him down in case the Omnitrix would time out soon. And Izuku, he gave them a lead that will give them Bakugo's exact location, probably even where his hideout is. And that's good. Meanwhile, Ken and Mina are still over in America trying to deal with Hex and Charmcaster. And that has its own problems, especially because they have a very powerful magical item. Now, with that being said, currently Deku, he has a lot going through his mind. He's trying to think about what to do. Bakugo has the abilities of, from what he understands, a few of his aliens. He's got, how many is it now? There's Accelerate, Heat Blast, Diamond Head, Forearms. God, he probably has all of them. But if he has all of them, then he didn't show off anything new. He didn't know about the Xylene Telelizard? Teleguana? No. Xylene's more of a reptile, so well, she's not like an octopus because her legs are more like a cricket, right? Hmm. He's gonna need to understand what that is, but what did Grandpa say she was? She was an oxorite? Right. That's still strange. Though he can use her powers, but they would just subdue Bakugo, not get through to him. And this is a lot more like his future self. Hmm. So let's see. If that's the case, then forearms? Maybe. Eye Guy might help, but he's just all blast. Hmm. Maybe him. Or no. He's got to think this through. He needs to take down Bakugo. He can't talk him down. He's losing his mind. And Deku, he does sit there quietly. Him messing around with the Omnitrix and turning the dial over and over. And David and Melissa, the two can hear it. As Melissa's a turn, her turn at least to ask Izuku a bit more about the Omnitrix. Shensi herself is curious about this device. And Deku, he does try to tell her what he does know. And David, he himself does listen in, hearing about how he heard a man named Azimuth create it whenever he was fighting Vilgax. And he almost had Vilgax take off his arm. And that certainly is quite the mental image. And Izuku, he does still sit there. As David, he does actually land. And the two do a step off, and he has to bring his hand up, pulling out his badge, as he's going to press onto the button and talk about it. Right now, he's releasing the Bakugo, he might be using the abandoned tunnel. If he is, then that means that he's been hiding underground for a while. Though, they're also more likely to find a ton of other things. If that's the case, then they need to be ready. And Deku said bring his hand down. Hand looking at the Omnitrix. And I'm going to try and press that button as nothing happens. Still in the red. So, how long do you think it will take to recharge? I don't know. But it's starting to get me concerned. I think I know which one to use against him, but if he touches this thing again, I don't know what it'll do to him. Huh. Right. Right. Listen, Izuku. Just be careful in there. David handing over a weapon to Izuku, expressing to him, as long as he holds down the trigger on this, it will charge. And it does pack quite a bit of a punch. Be careful using it. And Deku, he ends up putting his hand down, grabbing the weapon as Melissa is to walk by with her own weapon in hand. And David does a turn, grabbing his own rifle. Him picking up as Deku, he has to watch David examine the alien weapon as he has a turn and walk down off of the ship. Now, currently everybody, they do walk into the abandoned tunnel. And David, he is trying to keep things clear in his own head. He's got to make sure to keep an eye out. And as long as this beacon's active, they can track Bakugo. They know exactly where he's at. And David, here's a zoom in. Right now him seeing a bit more of a map that shows the closest thing within a mile. And Deku, he can tell. Bakugo's close. And it's just a matter of when they'll get there. Now, it does somewhat gnaw at Deku's gut about what might be going on through Bakugo's mind. And currently there actually is Bakugo. Bakugo, he was sitting there, trying to think about what to do next. Maybe go out as the speedster and, just get what he wants. Pull some jobs, steal some cash, get something to eat. Maybe see how fast these abilities can be pushed. I mean, he already knew he ran pretty fast. So maybe, well, the idea is there. So let's see. Maybe head over to the other side of Japan. Find another place to crash and start all over. He moves fast enough that a camera can't catch him. That's good. Though, he just needs to stay calm. Stay calm. Remember, you need some cash. You're just hungry and you're tired. That on Bakugo's mind. And Bakugo, here's a turn. Him going to hear something. As right as a turn into Heat Blast and walk down the tunnel, since he's a little concerned as to what that sound might have been. Now, there currently is Deku, who after he's around a corner, he has to see Bakugo walking by. And Bakugo, he's none the wiser that Deku is even there. And currently Deku's a turn. Him pressing the button as Omnitrix does get a glow. Deku looking down at it and going to press down on the Omnitrix, not smash down onto it. Now, Deku presses down with 2 fingers. And currently he has a flash and turn into forearms. As Melissa is a turn staring at Izuku. And Bakugo, he himself turned his head hearing that sound. And right now, that got him a bit more intrigued. As Deku, he has to wait. Currently Bakugo walking in the tunnel and shouting about how he saw that light. He knows Izuku's here. And Deku does to walk around the corner. Bakugo staring on as he himself does a turn into forearms. And Deku does to see it. As currently the two do a charge at each other. Now, let's cut over to Mina and Ken. Things with these two have not been easy. The data that they found said something about a full moon being needed for a ritual. And that's not too good. The nearest full moon is in a few nights. And that was where they were at. They looked into it a bit more and found some data. And so far, from what their data does tell them, this needs to be very, very selective in the way they do it. They need to find the highest point. And they need to make sure they can collect the light from the moon. They need to make sure they're able to get in its full glory. And that will help the spell. And Mina herself was surprised. Concerned? I mean, if this spell requires moonlight and an incantation, then what are they really going to do? And that was where Ken, he tried to explain a few things to Mina. Currently, him setting up a rifle as is to tell her that it's quite simple. Magic is strange to use and manipulate. The people who can use it are very far and in between, and those who can, they sort of twist it to their own nature. He's fairly certain that there might be pros who use magic out there, but that's a very, well, hard question to throw out there. Though, he has seen very. Never mind. What were you going to say? I have seen some stranger things. Alright? It's like this. We're getting everything set up now. But when the moon is full and it's at its highest point in the sky, they'll be here. I know it. Are you sure? I do. Listen, it's a bit like a stakeout. Me and your grandpa, Mark. We do that quite a lot. We'd get stuck chatting and talking. And we'd always be a little distracted whenever the bad guys showed up. Though sometimes they like to make explosive entrances. I locked that door over there. They should have to blow it up. Come through it or knock it down. They'll alert us and we can take them on. The moment that door is taken down, Mina, move in to secure, alright? Listen, Mina. We don't know what we're going up against, alright? I've made sure to stay ahead every step that we can. Right now, once that door comes off the hinges, go for the hands. Secure them. If you can, cover their mouths. They can't use either or, otherwise they're a threat. Alright? Okay. Then what do you do? I'll make sure you're safe. You see, the thing about this weapon here is, it works a lot like Stingfly's goo. You shoot it, and the more you shoot, the easier it is for the target to get stuck. They do all the work for you. Funny enough, me and Mark used this on one of our missions once. That was a long time ago. We had to hunt down some strange creatures. Are you okay? Yeah, sorry. Just, living in the past a little bit, I do miss him, I'm sure you do too. I do. He would be proud of you, Mina. I can't speak for him, but I hope you know that. Now, Mina does this won't smile. And currently the two, they do get a wait. And Mark, he is ready and prepared. If it means he has to sacrifice his life, he'll do so for Mina. Mark was like a brother, and he did so for his grandson. It's the least he could do. But he hopes it doesn't come to that. He prays it doesn't. Now, let's cut back over to Deku and Bakugo. As currently Deku does go flying out through the tunnel, smashing through the concrete wall. And right now he's smashed down in the old train yard. As he does actually get back up, as Bakugo is rushing towards him. Him leaping through the air and bringing his hands up. Two of them grabbing a giant pillar as they grab a massive boulder. Him right now taking it and swinging it over his head, as Bakugo tries to smash Deku with two of his arms. And Deku to bring his hands up. Him can actually sidestep as Bakugo just swing with two arms down and try at least throw out a punch. Now, Deku with two arms does a smash Bakugo directly across the face, and Bakugo is sent flying and smashing into the wall. Deku running over and tackling Bakugo into it as they do a dent into the wall. Deku pulling back two fists and smashing Bakugo in the gut. Him bringing up his right arms and smashing him across the face. And Deku, he does continue to lay on a bit more of a beatdown. Right now, Deku smashing Bakugo across the face and using his left arms to smash him in the face as well. The two upper arms working on the face and the top of the torso, as the lower arms are working on the abdomen. And Deku, he is trying to make sure to lay this on thick. he doesn't want Bakugo to have a moment to recover, and Bakugo to throw his head forwards. Right now, him turning his face into that of Ripjaw's. And Deku, he actually does get to jump backwards. Bakugo actually going to look back up at Deku and talk about it. Psych. Now, his face is a return back to normal. However, it is still red. And Deku, he doesn't stare on, as Bakugo does a step forwards. You know, you were just a quirkless nobody. The fact that you got that weird watch tells me quite a bit. Though, Izuku, we all do know how this ends. I'm taking it from you, and then I'll be the number one hero. That doesn't matter right now, Bakugo. You're not well. Oh, I'm perfectly reasonable, Izuku. Trust me. Now, currently, Melissa and David do come running out. And Melissa does throw herself down and bring up her weapon. Her trying to aim, as Deku, he has it punched across the face. Him smash down to the ground, as Melissa does a turn and fire it at Bakugo. And Bakugo is struck in the arm. Him going to actually turn and start to walk towards them, as Deku does a turn and get back up. Him grabbing at Bakugo's leg, as Bakugo does a turn. Deku pulling the leg as Bakugo falling down to the ground. And Deku, he has actually get back on his feet and grab Bakugo, spinning him around as tries to throw him into an old train. Bakugo smashing into it and going to try and get back up. Bakugo does get back onto his feet. Deku smash him across the face as Bakugo is sent flying backwards, blood flying from his mouth. And Deku, he has to step forwards again, telling Bakugo he's here to help him. If it means he has to beat him around, then he will. They're not kids anymore, Bakugo. They're older. They're not 5. And Bakugo's a turn. Him wiping his mouth of blood as he stared at Izuku. Him going to actually start smiling. And people, they're left unaware of the situation. At least on Earth. And right now Deku, he does go to actually continue on his assault. Bakugo throwing his hands out as right over he does a grab onto Deku's. The two are locked in a bit of, well, a struggle. And Bakugo, he does try to feed off of Izuku's powers. However, with the fact that he's already in this form, there's not much that he can take. However, he is able to take a little bit of energy. And that does give Bakugo an edge. As right now Bakugo, he does actually push Deku backwards. And right now, if he does do so, he has to bring up his lower arms, smashing Deku with an uppercut. And Deku, he is sent flying up into the air and smashing back down. Him going to try and get back up as Bakugo does a run forwards. Him grabbing Deku by his face and smashing him directly into a wall. Deku does sit there. Him right now going to bring his hands up and smash Bakugo directly in the ears. And Bakugo, he is discombobulated. Him right now is going to bring his hands up to cover them. However, he should use his 2 free arms to swing wildly at Deku. And Deku brings his hand up and smashes him with 2 fists directly across the entire train yard. Now, Bakugo just goes smashing down to the ground, and currently does try to get back up. And Deku, he does stare on. Right now Bakugo staring at Izuku as he has his hands on his ears. And Deku, he does try to tell Bakugo he's not going to beat him. He might have his abilities, but he doesn't know how to use any of them. Besides, forearms, he's had to get better with this one. Does he want to know why? Now, Bakugo does stand back onto his feet. And right now Bakugo does try to think. He can't beat him with strength, so he needs some firepower. And Bakugo, he has a turn. So I'm going to stare at the train line. And it does give him a bit of an idea. He might be able to use a weapon. Though, maybe, just maybe, Bakugo going to bend down. And currently, he does actually start to turn his hand in a heat blast. As, right now, Melissa and David do both stare at him. The two firing at Bakugo as Bakugo is struck and sent flying onto the ground. Currently, him going to try and stand back up as Deku's going to rush forwards. Him bringing his hands over his head and smashing down at Bakugo as he does grab onto him. And Bakugo, he does try to reach out for the Omnitrix. However, Izuku, he is actually going to turn and throw Bakugo away from him. And Bakugo, whenever he is sent flying down, he does smash down. And right now, he does get incredibly angry. Izuku can't beat him in a fair fight. But even then, this is not fair. He has all of his aliens, all of his abilities. but he has more inside that watch, and he wants them. So, let's see what we can do. Now, Bakugo, he does try to change into a different alien. However, right now, he's trying to think about which alien would be best, and he doesn't know which one to pick. And Bakugo, he does get to mutate, and that is seen and quite apparent. Bakugo, here's a change, and currently Deku doesn't go to stare on. Him a lot more alarmed as Bakugo, he doesn't get back on his feet. Him yelling at Izuku about what the hell is going on. And Bakugo, he doesn't laugh maniacally. He already has a plan in place. And this may not have been part of it, but he has all of the abilities of the aliens, all at once. You know, not his intended effect, but useful. Him rushing forwards. And Deku, he has to bring his hands up. Reno Bakugo immediately blitzing Izuku and bringing his hands up over his head. And David and Melissa, you go to stare on. As Deku and Bakugo, the two do go to disappear. And it's kind of alarming to David. 1 second they were there, and the next they weren't. And David, he got concerned. Him bringing his hand down and currently going to press onto his plumber badge. Him going to actually pull it off as he does go try and examine it. Trying to find exactly where the two might have ended up. Bakugo still had that badge on his back. So, what exactly does that tell you? Bakugo, he's still trackable. And David, yeah. Izuku and Bakugo aren't even in the same city anymore. I mean, he tries to zoom out, but there's nothing. There's no way. How are they not in Japan? Now, David's alarmed, and currently there actually is Izuku, who does not actually reappear with his hands up as does a look around. Currently, wait, what's happening? Now, the announcer does get to at least go on, expressing about what is happening, because they have the wielder of the Omnitrix in the arena. Now, Deku, he does go look down, and right now, he's staring at the floor. Him looking around as there's a robot coming towards him. Now, with that being said, the announcer does go on to state a few more things, expressing about the current predicament that everyone they do find themselves in, and about how if the hero from Earth who took down the mighty Vilgax can get out of this predicament, then things should be simple. As one of their newest gladiators, he will shine. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.